Hi guys, this is Lisha from Scarlet Moon Creations, and this is my Ostara Witchathon 2020 reading wrap up. It's a bright sunny day. It's not as warm as it was in the last couple of weeks. And we all know what's going on around the world, so things are not super happy, but I am happy because I killed this readathon. I killed it. Um, so let me jump into all of the books that I read and the other things that I accomplished during the Ostara Witchathon, because I read 5 books, one, two, three, technically 6, and hit all my prompts, all of them, and I enjoyed every single book that I read. There wasn't a bad one in this. So my spring is off to a great start. FYI, the readathon is run by Rhiannon at Crescent Moon Reads, link down in the description below. They are awesome. They do a great job creating prompts every time, and I just always feel blessed to be able to participate, and I like the fact that this readathon is always low key and zero pressure. So shout out to Rhiannon. Also, this readathon was from March 12th to the 19th, which was the spring equinox, Ostara, for some witches. So let's jump into the books. So the first book I read, the first 2 books I read were from this anthology, The Arcanum Unbound by Brandon Sanderson. It is a collection of short stories or novellas set in the Cosmere, which is like magnum opus. Not even like, the Cosmere is this collection of systems or a giant universe with different worlds where many of Brandon Sanderson's, but not all, of his books are set. I believe all of the books and therefore the short stories are adult. So if you've read like his young adult stuff, they don't take place in the Cosmere as far as I am aware. So 2 of the stories I started off my Witchathon reading the first 2 novellas, or the first novella and short story in this collection. And first off, Emperor's Soul. This is a fantasy set in the same system as Elantris. I read Elantris last year in January, I think. January 2019. But, so Emperor's Soul is a different character set in the same world as Elantris, but not the same countries. They somehow apparently are not even really aware of each other all of that much, all in the Cellish system on the planet Cell. What's really cool about this is the fact that there's like an intro for each section, for each world in the Cosmere, and so you're getting a little bit more information about what connects them all together. And so I enjoyed that. Then Emperor's Soul, wow. I don't want to be here forever, so I'm going to try to make this quick. But Emperor's Soul is basically about a forger, Shai, who gets captured in the middle of switching one of her forgeries for the real thing. And the arbiters who capture her want to make a deal. They say they'll let her go if she helps them or if she forges their emperor's soul. He was recently injured. They don't want the people to know because, one, they'll lose power because they work for that particular emperor, and also the whole empire will probably devolve into chaos. So they asked her to recreate his soul, and this story is about how she goes and does that process. It's amazing. I like how the Forgers Society works, how they observe people, how they're aware of human beings being complex. We or our souls, our personalities are made up of nature and nurture, things that come from birth and other things that are taught to us, and also our experiences. They shape our emotions, our thoughts, our future experiences, our actions, and we are complex human beings. So the thing I really liked how Shai put it, and I think I'm pronouncing it right because I don't know, is that human beings are puzzles and made up of various pieces, and some pieces get smaller and less important, and other pieces grow and get bigger over time, and the shapes of each piece changes the over time, as well as the shape of us as a whole, and that is exactly how I think of people and how I see them, and I love that. I love the conversations with Gatona, who is an elderly arbiter, I think. Are they arbiters? I don't know where I got that word from, but yeah. So he is the oldest arbiter, and their conversations are super interesting. I like the underlying thread of value being talked about within the story. Different people value different things at different levels. Everyone's scale is different as well. So what's important to some is not important to others, and some things that people value have a lifespan and circumstances. This is getting long, but the other thing is I really enjoyed how Shai made Gautona aware of something that a lot of older people aren't. And by older, I don't mean necessarily elderly, just someone older than you. When they have like certain life experiences that younger people don't, just most of the time by the fact that they've just been around longer, and that's fine, but they also have certain expectations, certain ways they try to guide younger people based on their experiences, and even with the best of intentions, it can feel like a weight, and and younger people can have negative thoughts about that pressure, that expectation, and older people are not always aware of this. And it's just like, you want to rebel because, yes, I understand, but I want to do me. I'm a different person. So I like that conversation. Overall, I gave this a 4 stars solidly. I don't know what was missing. I think I would have liked a little bit more of the world, I guess. But otherwise, in general, it was just really, really good. The next thing I read for these were both for the same prompt, which other things I read fit, but this is The Hope of Elantris, which is a short story in this collection. That is set back in the world of Elantris, which is a standalone fantasy that Bryan Sanderson wrote. That was his debut novel, I believe, and very good. Like I said, I read it last year in January. This is following a tertiary character during the climax of the book, so we get to see what was happening from a different point of view. And it was interesting. This story was written by a diehard fan of one of his, and um, he used that fan's name as the character in the story, which was nice. Um, Not a lot going on here. We see like a glimpse of some of the main characters from Elantris, which I really enjoyed as a book. This short story was just so short. It was just like, okay, not bad. So I gave it a 3.5 stars. And both of these also I read for Cosmere Along, which is being run by Rachel Marie's book journey. Um, he's reading all the Cosmere books. Obviously, I read Elantris last year, so I didn't get into that, but I picked this up for reading the short stories. Next up, I read the group book that Rhiannon picked out for us, and that was The Blackouts Drums by P. Jelly Clark. I was not in the best of states when I read this. I think I was stressed or anxious or no and feeling a little bit under the weather at the time, so I feel like I need to reread it to see if it's really my thing. This is, I'm gonna say, a steampunk fantasy novella. Um, its own voices might be considered YA, but anyway, we've got Creeper, who's in an alternate history New Orleans during or after the initial Civil War. Things turned out differently. Um, it was kind of a tie, and New Orleans seceded or from both the Confederates and the the other side, the Yankees, I guess. Um, the term is not coming to me, but you know, the North, the Civil War for the United States was the North versus the South, basically, and the New Orleans decided they didn't want to be part of either. So also at this time, there's kind of an ongoing kind of Cold War situation between the North and the South, and um, there's also the free islands, which are like Haiti and other island countries in the Caribbean, that pops up into this. So anyway, Creeper is, you know, an orphan basically in the city, country, neutral state of New Orleans, but she's a bit special because she has Oya, the Orisha of storms and winds, in her head, and um, one day while she's creeping, she gets a warning from Oya when she then overhears about this Haitian scientist selling the Black God's drums to Confederate soldiers, and the story goes from there as Creeper decides to try to stop this from happening. Um, I enjoyed this. I didn't hate it. I like the Orisha aspect. I like Creeper. I like New Orleans, and I'm not 100% sure I like the whole alt history thing. Steampunk is something, and I think it's called Afropunk, the kind of black version of steampunk, which might be more specifically what this is. I've always been interested. I always like it as an aesthetic, and that is here. I don't know that I really enjoy the kind of alternate history aspect of this, where we've got kind of the Civil War still sort of going on, and this time frame in history, and then the alternative of it just kind of didn't really mesh with me, which made me sad. So that's like happening. It's in the background, but also important to the story, and I think that took a little bit away from it, but I also kind of wasn't 100% paying attention to this. So, I don't know. Anyway, I gave this a 3.5 stars because it's not bad. I just am not 100% sure if I was in the right state of mind and health, and also if the kind of alternate history of this is my thing. I don't know. So yeah, good novella. This was the group pick for Ostara Witchathon. Next, I read. So in my TBR video, I had two choices for the transgender main character prompt, and the book that I had first picked out was I Wish You All the Best, but because the library told me it was on the way, so I was like, okay, I picked two, that one's on the way. That one did not have a transgender main character, but a non-binary main character. Still want to read it, and I wanted to have like a romance in there, but then the library told me it was recalled or something like that. I talked to the library and they said that probably means the one they were going to send you was damaged, so they took it out of circulation. She put it back on hold for me, but in the meantime, Pet by a Quickie Imezi showed up, and I decided to just read this, which turned out to be good because shortly afterwards, the library is closed here, and we don't know when they will be open again. So yeah, I'm gonna call this a utopian fantasy YA. We follow, good lord, what is her name? We follow Jam and her best friend Redemption to an extent. They are teenagers in the town of Lucille, which is a utopian society. They've gotten rid of all monsters. Monsters being rapists, drug dealers, those who are addicted to drugs. They've gotten rid of police brutality. They've gotten rid of corrupt politicians and politics. They've gotten rid of all kinds of abuse and abusers, and these are all basically called monsters. Pet and Redemption have grown up in the world without monsters. The monsters were eradicated by what they call angels, and it's all taught in schools. There are no monsters. You have no worries, blah, blah, blah. But one day, a monster hunter climbs out of Pet's mother's painting, saying he's aware that there's a monster in Lucille. Her parents now Gem and is the connection to help Pet, who is the hunter that climbs out of the painting, find the monster. The only clue they have is it's from Redemption's house. So it's a story that hurt. I wasn't 100% happy with this. Jam is the trans main character. Acceptance of that is 100% in Lucille in this monster-free society. Judgment and non-acceptance are apparently eradicated as well as monsters. I think part of the problem I had with this is that I really wish that this existed. This is definitely a utopian society. Like, and I know this is a novella, it's short, it's young adult, so it has a very positive outlook, and everything is dealt with at the end. The monster is found, and justice is served, but there are no details, and I think that bothered me. It's like, oh, the angels have killed the monsters, and it's brought up that, monsters can come back, obviously, and they're not always, it's not always clear who the monsters are and what the monsters are, and who or what the angels are and what they look like, and that is awesome. But I think I was a little angry to read this, enjoy it, but also like, but how can we do that? How can we get rid of these things? How did they get rid of them? How are they going to deal with the ending of this? Like, who the monster is a big surprise, and it's not a good feeling for anyone. And it's just like, how do you go on? How do you fix that? We don't know. And I know that's like unrealistic for me to be like, well, where's the blueprint for how do we get rid of the monsters in our world, especially living in today's times? But I don't know. I wasn't expecting to feel this way, but I still feel strongly, and it's still very good and very well written, and I very much recommend it. So I gave it 4.5 stars. Half stars taken away from my irrational, unlikely wants and needs. But yeah. The next book I read it wound up fulfilling two prompts. And finished reading The Voyage of Frostheart, or Frostheart, by Jamie Littler. This is a middle grade fantasy, adventure fantasy, and so Ash is a young boy. This entire world is like this snow and ice and water world, and he is of the Fira, which is the stronghold way off into no man's land. They're the only like stronghold slash town anywhere near each other. And Ash is an outcast because he's believed to be a song weaver. Song weavers are taboo. The Fira believe them, and many other people in strongholds believe them to be attracting leviathans, which are the monsters that live in the waters and under the ice around the world. They attack and they sing with their songs, and song weavers are said to be easily taken over mentally by the leviathans, and they bring leviathans into strongholds and destroy them and then kill their people. So when Ash sings to the leviathans to save the ship Frostheart, which is coming in to get supplies from the Fira, they kick him out. He leaves with the Frostheart crew, and they go on an epic adventure. Ash's hope is to find his parents who left when he was much younger. And I started this earlier this year, like in January, I think. Got about 20 something pages in. The thing is, I picked this up for Witchathon, which was in December, didn't get to it in time, and then lost interest because the readathon was over. So when I saw for Witchathon that Rhiannon had a prompt for involves water either on the cover or in the storyline, I was like, this works. This definitely works. Frost, frost is ice, which is water, and there is so much water, ice, snow, frost in this story. Like, that's the world that they are in. And because I didn't get to my TBR pick for survival in nature, which was honestly a stretch anyway, this also fulfills that prompt because boy, is there a lot of survival in nature. In my head, I guess I was thinking like in forest and greenery and maybe mountains or whatever, but like this is, there's mountains, there are icebergs, there everyone is basically surviving in this icy, watery world. And there are battles with leviathans of various sizes. There's like a whole ice maid thing. Just this book is about survival, so it fits that prompt as well. I gave it 4 stars. It turned out to be really, really good. There are illustrations that help. I think I was hesitant at first with reading this also because this is the kind of story I think I would watch. Like, it reminds me somewhat of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I'm used to watching this kind of thing rather than reading it, but the illustrations are great and I do want to read more because this is not the end of the story. This is book 1, new release in a new series, so check it out. The next and last book I read for Witchathon is Saga Volume 2. I read this to fulfill the prompt to read a graphic novel, and Saga Volume 2 is a graphic novel. I read the first volume last year. I wanted to continue. This is great. I know this is popular on BookTube, so if you watch BookTube videos, you've definitely heard of the Saga volumes and issues. These volumes are bind-ups of, I think, 5 or 6 issues each. Let me check. But it's by Brian K. Vaughan and the artist is Fiona Staples. 7 to 12, yeah. So like 6 issues each. This particular volume we deal with basically, I didn't even tell you what the story is. We've got this couple who have gotten together even though they are from different worlds, they are of different races, they're a different type of people, and their people are actually have been at war for centuries. The two worlds. It's amazing. Marco and Alana, and this is Marco, and in this volume we meet Marco's parents and also see how Marco and Alana met. The whole story is told from their child's perspective, or in her voice, so she's telling it in past tense, I guess you could say, and it's funny, the art is great, there's action, this is very adult, it's very gruesome, and there are definitely sexy times in this, so yeah. Okay, so those are all the reading prompts for Ostara Witchathon, but if you know anything about Rhiannon's Witchathon, they are also always have one like action prompt, and this time it was to plant something, plant seeds, and I was planning to anyway, so I was like, I will do it. And it turns out, just because of the way my life went, I planted on the 19th. So you could see like more thoughts on these books as I'm reading them and other things happening in my weekly vlogs. Check out vlog number 24, which will already be up, and probably 25 as well. Since Witchathon went in the middle of, it started on a Thursday and ended on a Thursday, so in the middle of 2 different weeks, you'll see the details of that. If you want to see me planting the seeds themselves, I won't show you them because I use seed pellets, so these things, they need to be covered up as they're filled in, or as they grow, some of them, but they start out like this, and then you water them and they puff up, and then you put the seeds in. But I will show you the seeds that I planted really quick. So cucumber, some common sage, I use a mix of old seeds and new ones, lemon balm, chamomile, if it'll show you, there you go, chamomile, and some common thyme, cilantro, sorry guys, dropped it, new sage, new lemon balm, rosemary. So already a couple of repeats because sometimes the seeds are too old so they won't germinate or become seedlings, and I wasn't sure, so I put some and got new ones just in case. The new chamomile, new marigold, oregano, what's this, basil, chives, spearmint. So yeah, this is the pack of thyme, oregano, basil, and parsley. Some old garden beans, green beans, actually old lettuce. Some pansies, old pansies, because I wanted some flowers. Old calendula, so calendula and marigolds are the same thing, just different names. Petunias, some new thyme, yeah, the thyme and the parsley. So that is what I planted. Those are all the prompts that I filled for the Ostara Witchathon. Let me know what you read. What did you think of the group book, The Blackouts Drums? Did you plant anything, either at home or outdoors? How are you guys doing? I hope you had a good start to your spring. If you participated in Ostara Witchathon this year, I hope you enjoyed it and were successful and happy as much as I was. And let me know if you plan to participate in the next Witchathon. I know the Letha Witchathon Summer Solstice is not Rhiannon's favorite. Summer is not their favorite season, but it's mine. That'll be in a couple of months if it happens. So are you planning on participating, or are you looking forward to it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe for the the vlogs, which are linked down below, and other wrap-ups and TBRs to come. I also do bullet journal spreads, and speaking of which, I never show them on my channel, but this is my Ostara Witchathon spread here. You can follow me on my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads. Instagram and Twitter, I do share my readathon spreads and more bullet journal spreads, as well as other stuff as I'm reading, so check those out. And you can be my friend or follow me on Goodreads in the link down below. I hope you guys are safe. I love you all. See you next time. Bye.